friends, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Emma, and this is Dandelion Cottage. In today's video, we're gonna do a really fun tutorial on how to do those peekaboo type t-shirts. You know, those ones that are like really trendy right now on TikTok. They're all over Facebook. I already did my first one. You can kind of see it if I wiggle it up and down. This one's for my little boy. I thought it's so cute. It's a cute little Superman peekaboo shirt. So if you want to learn how to make something awesome like this, then tag along. Okay, a few things that you're going to need to be able to do this project. I am going to be doing images through Sublimation. Now your images could be anything. You could have a HTV, you could have a screen print, whatever you want to use. You could even have an old t-shirt that maybe you have a hole or a stain or whatever and you really like the image, cut the image off and repurpose it into one of these peekaboo t-shirts. So what I've decided to do today is sublimation, because you guys all know I love to sublimate. And I'm gonna do a really cool Freddy Krueger one for Halloween. And then I'm gonna do a really cool Guns N' Roses one, just because, you know, I'm a big fan. It's upside down, Guns N' Roses, I'm a big fan. So what I did is, and in case you're new, when you have sublimation, this is not just a regular piece of paper and ink. This is a special kind of paper with a special kind of ink that I printed with a special kind of printer. And if you're interested in learning how to sublimate, I have lots of other videos. In fact, I will link something up above. I don't know what side, but I will link something up above on how to sublimate for beginners. Start there and then come back. Okay, so what I did with the my sublimation is I went to Joann's today and I was able to find 100% polyester. Now there was lots, so don't get frustrated, and if you can't find it, then just go and find either 100% polyester, or I even found 95% polyester. That works too. But like I said, I've already pressed one of these shirts, and being 100% polyester, it was so I always do that. It is so vibrant, light and vibrant. So I really, really like this material. Now I forgot to take a picture of the fabric thing. I'll see if it's on my receipt. If it is, then I'll link it in the description below. But the biggest thing is just try and get as high as polyester count as you can if you're gonna sublimate, so that your image is going to be bright and vibrant and look amazing. So with the Freddy Krueger shirt, I was thinking, I haven't decided yet. Once I press it, then I'll decide what color shirt I'm gonna use with it. Because it's supposed to pop green, and I'm just not sure what green, if it's gonna be more of my Irish green, or I've got military green, or, you know, should I keep it a heather navy? I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe, you know, put in the comments below once you see the image, what color shirt you think I should have put it with. And then the Guns N' Roses, I'm just gonna go with the typical heather navy. That's one of the darkest shirts I have. I do have a few of the Gilden's Black Mist, and maybe that would look cool too. So one of the two. I get my shirts, you guys ask all the time, so I'll just tell you right now. I get my shirts from www.jiffyshirts.com or clothing-shop-online.com. Those are my two favorites. You guys just have to keep watching. Every single day, log on, see if they have them a few times a day. Like I literally do. That's why I have so many shirts. I'm not hoarding them. Like I do business and I use these shirts. I purchase what I know I'm going to use. And I purchase usually 2 of each color, of each size is usually what my inventory is. And then when I get down to, you know, one of a few different colors, then I'll try and put in another order. Unless I have a whole bunch of police shirts that I sell, like Police Wife and Back the Blue and all of those ones. I sell a lot of those. So because of that, I use most of them. I sell with my heather navies. You can't see because they're way up there, but I've got my heather royals up top. So those are the 2 colors that I have most in stock, because that's what I mostly sell. So I use the Gilden 6400, 64,000, it just depends on which website you're on, but it's the 6400. That's the serial number for the shirts, and it's the heather colors are the ones that you can bleach and then sublimate. Or like today, I'm not bleaching. I'm just using them for my peekaboo shirts. We're gonna go ahead and press our images onto our polyester. All right, you guys, we're over here in the pressing corner, and we're gonna go ahead and press the images onto the polyester that we previously cut out. So what I did is I just went to Joann's. It was actually on sale for $6.99, so I bought 2 yards of it. plenty left. So I don't know if this is something I'm going to continue doing or if this is just something that's fun and I just wanted to teach you guys because it's, you know, it's really hip and trendy right now. But it's kind of fun and exciting. So I hope you guys learned something from this. And if you guys have a different way of doing it, tell us, let us know. Let's all share our tips and tricks. That is what this channel is all about, is to share tips and tricks with one another so that we can all find easier ways of doing what we already do or finding ways of doing something new. So I'm just waiting for this to heat up. Again, with sublimation, you want your press to be about 400 degrees, and then you're gonna press for about 60 seconds. So same thing with your t-shirts. Whenever you're pressing, you wanna make sure that you're pre-pressing to get any of that extra moisture out, because your sublimation ink and the moisture, they just don't mix well. It's basically gonna repel that ink, and it's not going to bond with the fibers of your fabric. So make sure that you're pre-pressing. But before you pre-press, every single time, make sure that you're lint rolling, especially on the lighter fabrics. I find that the darker fabrics, you don't notice it as much, but on the lighter fabrics, if you miss doing this part and there's any little fibers that are loose and left behind, you'll see little black dots from those fibers that you could have gotten up with your lint roller. So I'm just gonna take both of these and we're just gonna go ahead and pre-press them. And my thing is not quite to temperature yet, but it's getting close. There we go. Now, because my press is not up to 400 degrees, it's closer to about, it's about 315 now. I actually pressed those for about 15, 20 seconds because I wanted to make sure I got all that moisture out. Okay, now for the images. I want to say this one's the smaller one, so this one's gonna go for the Freddy Krueger one. And I'm trying to just put it right in the middle because what I did is I cut an excess on the sides, the top and the bottom. And what I did is I just wanted to measure it with the tape that I'm using. And this is the Heat and Bond Ultra Hold 7/8 inch is what I am using today. So, okay. What I'm going to do, I wanna make sure that these don't ghost. I notice ghosting mostly on lighter fabrics because obviously ghosting looks more like a shadow. And for those of you that don't know what ghosting is, basically what it is sometimes you have to go back to the basics. The way sublimation works is it's a liquid. It turns into a gas and adheres to the fibers of your shirt without ever going through the solid phase, right? And it does that by getting heat and pressure. So then when you're lifting up your pressure and the heat and the pressure go away, then it stops, right? But as it's cooling down, it's still sublimating. So as you're lifting up your heat press, or if you have, like a Cricut heat press, if you twist or tilt or shift in any way, your image is going to be mainly where it was supposed to be because that's where it was for the majority of the time it was being pressed. But if it shifts, even just slightly, it's gonna look like it has like a shadow of itself. It's probably the easiest way for me to explain it. And it usually happens those last few seconds, or it could even happen the first few seconds. So if it shifted right as you pressed it, then that's also is when it could happen. So I always tape down my images to make sure that I'm going to avoid any ghosting. Now this fabric, with it being 100% polyester, it is very, like almost silky. So I wanna make sure that it doesn't shift. And with it being silky, I'm kind of nervous about it shifting a little bit. So I'm actually doing probably a little bit more tape than I would typically do, but I don't want it shifting. Alrighty, we're to temperature, so we're gonna go ahead and put these images on and press them. And as you can tell, I totally over taped this. But I kid you not, this fabric is really, it feels very silky to me. And it's just not like my heather blends that I typically use. And so I think that there's a way higher chance of it shifting and ghosting. So definitely over taped. Now on this, you want to make sure that you have a piece of butcher paper underneath the fabric, because this is such a light fabric. There is a high chance that it could bleed through, and you definitely don't want to harm your bottom part of your press. And then, as always, you always want to cover the top part so that it doesn't bleed through to your heating element. So let's go ahead and we're going to press this at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. As a reminder, don't ever reuse that top sheet because your image will more than likely show up on your next image. And go ahead and put this next one in. I just want to make sure that didn't bleed through. No, looks good. Go ahead and leave that. If I saw any part of that image that had bled through, then I wouldn't have reused the bottom portion. And then get another sheet. Go ahead and cover it for another 60 seconds at 400 degrees. And then let's go ahead and look at this one. See how it turned out. Oh my goodness, that is vibrant. That looks so good. You can see what your image looks like after you pressed. And look how bright and vibrant this image is. That turned out so cool, huh? Now I'll put the link on where I got these. I got these off of Etsy. So I'll just link the shop where I bought them down in the description below if you're interested. Beautiful, it turned out so good. I'm happy. Didn't that turn out so pretty? I love it. That's gonna look so cool underneath the shirt. Okay, so next we need to obviously glue these to our shirts. All right, you guys, I'm sitting here trying to decide what shirt color to put Freddie behind, and I keep going back and forth. And I feel like I've seen this image for sure all over the internet, and I don't want to be just like everybody else. And I think everyone else is using like a dark shirt. So I think I'm gonna be a little different and maybe do it behind the orange. Am I crazy? Is that crazy? I mean, maybe that's a horrible decision, but I wanna be different. I don't wanna be just like everyone else. So I'm gonna try it. We'll see what it turns out like. And then the Guns N' Roses, I'm gonna put that one behind, it's a Gilden Heather, I think it's a Heather Black Mist or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of the shirt, but I will make sure that I put both of these shirts in the description below so that you know exactly what I'm using. So now we need to cut these shirts. And so the way I did it on my son's shirt that I showed you at the beginning is I just got this shirt, and oh, I should probably show you this first. This is just a mat that I got, I didn't take this off because don't you hate when they put stickers on? They don't come off. It drives me nuts. Anyways, this is your Fiskars, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a cutting board that you can get from most craft stores. They're really awesome because you can cut on them with these really awesome Fiskars rolling cutters. This is my favorite one. It's super comfortable. This is a 60 millimeter, just in case you were curious. The reason I like this one is it's just thicker, so it cuts through thicker materials. But that's what we're gonna do today. We are going to use this, and I'm gonna drape my shirt through it so that it's right in the middle of my shirt. Now, I've seen people use, I mean, I shouldn't say seen, because really there's not very many videos on YouTube about this right now, but like the TikTok and stuff. I have seen people use cardboard, which is great, but the only problem is with cardboard is you use it once and then you don't get to use it again because it's cut. So this works great because you can reuse this over and over and over again when you're cutting. And the lady that I got it from, Joanne, she's very helpful. She said that this one is a really good brand. Most of them are actually, they're fine. But the nice thing about these cutting boards is when you cut, if over time you have a ton of cut marks, she was saying you could go put it in the bathtub full of water, leave it for a few hours. They, I guess, self-absorb and like self-heal, and they kind of fill in the, so I haven't had to do that yet, but I'm gonna try. So it sounds kind of interesting. Okay, what we're going to do for this image, I kind of want to see where I want it peekabooing out. And what I'll probably do, I'm just gonna get a piece of paper. Okay, just got a piece of paper out of my thing. Now, we do not want to cut all the way over because we're gonna have our, we have to glue it on, right? With our little iron glue that we're gonna use. So, just looking at this image here, and I think what I wanna do is pretty much about the same size as this sheet, if not maybe a teeny bit smaller. Definitely starting at the top and the bottom. I mean, this is a really good template for me to use. I would encourage you to try and find something that will work for you and whatever you're using. So I'm just gonna leave it right here. Now you don't have to do this. You could totally just eyeball it 100%. I'm gonna do, the main thing that I always do is 4 finger lengths down. And then I'm gonna grab kind of a dandy ruler and just double check that I am the same on each side. Looks good. Good job, Emma. So proud of you. If you wanted, you could tape it down just so that it doesn't shift. This is just my trick. Absolutely do not need to do this part, I promise. I'm gonna move my camera angle just down a tad so you can see what I'm doing here. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start making some lines. Now, if you wanted to, you could get your ruler. Actually, I have a different one I'm gonna use. Let me get this one. And then you can kind of just use these lines to give yourself an idea of how many inches. So you could maybe slit every inch, you could slit every 1/4 of an inch, every 1/2 of an inch. I think I'm gonna do every 1/4, or I mean every 1/2. So here we go. As a reminder, the whole reason I'm using this piece of paper is it's helping me eyeball how far I want to go so that I don't go too far. Let's see the mess we made. There you go. So this is now just garbage. You can definitely see that I went a little too far on some areas. No big deal. I don't think that you want it to be super duper perfect anyways. So maybe just on a few of these, go over just a tad bit more so that it's not absolutely perfect. I think that's, at least in my mind, I don't want it too perfect. This is supposed to be a scary Halloween ripped shirt, right? So the first one is done. Well, not done, but the slit marks are done. And that is what it's gonna look like. And when it's just hanging there, you can see all those slit marks. Perfect. So same thing on that one. I think the same technique is gonna work out perfect. Okay, so now both shirts have been cut and both pieces of polyester have been sublimated on. So now we hook them together. So what I found works best is to get your shirt and turn it inside out. like so. Then you're gonna wanna put it face up so that you can see the slit marks. Piece of thread, cut that out. Oh, two of them. Has anybody else noticed in this Gilden shortage that your Gilden shirts are coming, like I just feel like worse and worse. Like I just feel like the craftsmanship of them, or I don't know how to explain it, but it's just the fabric, and I have holes, and I have a lot more of these pieces. Like I think they're just making them so quickly that they're cutting some corners they shouldn't be cutting. Anyways, okay, so what we're gonna do here is, what we're looking for is where we wanna place this shirt. And it looks like I did a pretty good job at lining up that piece of paper and making the cuts. So this is gonna be perfect, looks good. So what I do is I'm going to get these sheets, I'm gonna pull some off, and I don't want them to overlap, but I wanna make a square all the way around and then we'll just make sure that it lines up. So you wanna go a little bit further, about right there. And we're gonna do the same thing going down the side. And down this side. And then one more on the bottom. That should do it. So then now what you want to do is just make sure it's the right size. You don't want to have anything overlapping. So I'm going to try and lay this down again. Yep, that's going to be perfect. You can see all where those are going to go. So that's awesome. So what we're going to do, I probably don't need this anymore. We definitely don't need the heat press at 400 degrees because the instructions for this stuff is just to use a medium iron with a medium pressure. So we're just gonna put this down like so. Oh, here's what we're gonna do before. I always forget. We are going to put a piece of parchment paper or butcher paper, whatever you have on hand, and we're gonna put it in between the shirt. And the reason why is we're gonna be pushing or applying the sublimation print to this here in a second. And I don't wanna put it in between after the glue's on because it'll be sticky. Try again. There we go. Better. Perfect. Okay. So you can see that when you've got this glue, you've got a smooth surface and a rough surface. You want the rough surface face down. Hopefully I'm doing the right pieces. Honestly, they're all about the same size. That's a side. That's the bottom. One thing I noticed the last time I did this, you don't want these overlapping if you can help it. Looking at the width again. Yep, that looks good. I could even go out just a tad bit more. Okay, that should be good. I'm gonna get the butcher paper and I'm just gonna cover this because what we're doing this first round, I'm always dipping down. See if you can see me. Maybe that'll help. What we're doing is we're getting the first part and we're pressing that part to the shirt. The instructions said to do this like 2 seconds. So I'm only gonna do this very short period of time. We're at 291. We're not even at like 400, so it's not too much. That's about 5 seconds. Let's try that. Sorry, I know it's so squeaky. My husband and my kids get so mad. Yep, that looked good. That looks like it worked. move it back over here. And now what you do is you're gonna peel off the top part of that little tape. And you're gonna see when you peel it off, I don't know if you can see, there's like a shiny, you can clearly see that there's a shiny sticker or glue underneath. So we're gonna peel all these off. There we go. And they're not tacky, so if you touch them, it's not too bad. Now we're going to lay this, make sure at this point that you have it right side up. You don't want to put your image on upside down, or that is going to be a very sad day for you. And what you're making sure is you don't want the white to show. So like where the first slit is, right? And same thing with this bottom one. You want to make sure that the white is high enough up. Yep, looks good. Looks good all the way around. So what I did here is I put some heat tape, because when I pick it up and move it over there, I don't want it to shift. I want it to stay right where it's at. So I'm just gonna put some heat tape here. Put it back. Now reminder, we have our butcher paper or parchment paper in between the shirt, because I don't, when you're putting heat back on a image that's already been sublimated, that ink can resublimate. So we wanted to make sure that it's not going to resublimate onto the back of the shirt through the holes. And just keep in mind, we're only doing this part for the glue. Like the sublimation part's done, but because we're pushing this again and the sublimation is close to my heat element, I definitely want to cover and protect my heat element. Now, this time around, the first time it said 2 seconds. This time around it said 8. So we're still not at 400 degrees, so I'll probably do maybe 10 seconds for this part. There you have it. You guys excited to see it? Let's take this tape off. Now the one thing I did notice from my son's shirt is you don't want to start messing with this, like trying to peel it up to see if it worked, until it's cooled down a little bit. Because when it's still hot, like right now it's definitely still warm, when it's still hot, like it's still trying to glue together. Okay, so it's pretty much cooled down. So if I did want to just peek and look, it's not coming up. It's stuck. So that is amazing. So one thing you could do is if you have any excess, like right now if I peel this up, it's going to peel all the way up until the glue. If you wanted, you could definitely cut off some of that excess, which if I was sewing this shirt, I would want to do that. Just because I know if it was me, I wouldn't want to have that feel inside. I did pretty good. It's just this top part that has some excess. Now one thing you could do, just so that these sides don't fray, is you can get, it's called fray check. In fact, I have some right here. Let me get it for you. You could try some of this fray check. I got this one I got at Hobby Lobby. I know you can get it on Amazon. I know you can get it at Joann's. Any craft store is going to have this fray check. And you could just go around the edges to make sure that it doesn't fray. But I would probably do that before you did any of this. Before you sew it to your shirt, I would probably have done the fray check. So this is my first time doing these shirts. I'm gonna send them through a few things of, wash and just see how they hold up. Just out of curiosity, if it is something I wanna sell, am I gonna say it's hand wash only or, gentle cycle only? I wanna know for myself how these hold up. All right, so let's go ahead and see how this turned out. So excited. Ta-da, ta-da. Oh my Lanta, I love it. So cute. Let's see if I can bring it up close. Is that adorable or what? It's so cute. Now the one thing I did do on the sides, just in case you guys want to try this, is I went a few inches from the slit. I gave myself some wiggle room. So what you could do is, if you have a pair of scissors, just go back and maybe grab some of these and maybe cut them a little bit deeper. let me change my angle so you can see what I'm doing here, because I don't like it super perfect. I like it so that there's, you know, a little longer than others, shorter than others. I kind of like that look better. So just going in here and randomly cutting some of these a little longer. And again, the reason I can do this is because I glued it all the way over here. So I gave myself some wiggle room. And you can feel, like I can feel with my scissors, it's not gonna let me go past that point. So you don't have to worry about cutting it too far. Do the same thing with this side. And now keep in mind, these were every 1/2 inch. I could have definitely gone further and just did every inch or whatever. That's part of the artwork, is you deciding where you want it to go. So I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see the difference from the camera, but definitely I think it helps it kind of lay a little bit more. And I think once I put the shirt on, you'll be able to see the image a lot better. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the next shirt. I'll just put it in fast forward mode so that you can just basically see everything we just did. I'm gonna do it all over again with the Freddy Krueger orange shirt. Really hard to do this with slits in the shirt. So you saw that time around, I did it a little bit different. As I said, you live and you learn, and it worked. It worked really well. So as you saw, I pressed it first for 2 seconds. Well, it was about 5 seconds. And then I peeled off the upper layer of tape. And then I just, it wasn't sticky. So that's what's kind of nice about being able to lay this down. And then I was able to just lay the polyester fabric right on top, and then I didn't have to move the shirt back and forth, which prevented me from having to tape the image down, which was kind of nice. And it looks really good. So this is what you're seeing from the inside of your shirt. So let's go ahead and pull this paper out of the middle. We're gonna turn it inside out. We're gonna take a peek on what our Freddy looks like. Pretty awesome. Now, did I make a mistake on going orange? I don't know, it's just different, something different. That way I'm not the same as everybody else. There is your peekaboo Freddy Krueger. So same thing on this one. I went over just a tad so that I could cut a little bit further if I wanted to. And I definitely think I do. The longer your slits are, the more they're gonna hang down and the more you're gonna see your image underneath. But you don't wanna cut them too long that it looks silly. So that's why I waited until after I glued to be able to decide how much I wanted to cut. On this side, and just let your scissors feel it. You just push it in and you'll feel your scissors stop where that glue is underneath. Again, we'll see how this holds up over time. I'll update it in the description below. But when I was talking to the fabric lady today at Joann's, I mean, she knows her stuff. Like, I was totally picking her brain. And I was telling her what I was doing, what it was for, and she was like, oh yeah, that stuff works all the time. She goes, I use this stuff on quilts where I don't have to sew, and the quilts never come undone. So, I mean, it's gonna be a little bit different being a shirt and you're wearing it and putting it through the laundry and stuff, but she thought that this stuff would do really well at holding up and you'd be fine. So how cool is that? I just think it's so cool. and I kind of like it on the orange shirt. And the reason I chose the orange is his colors, his image is green, black, and orange. And so I kind of wanted that orange to pop a little bit by wearing the orange shirt. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you learned something new. I hope that you're gonna try this. It's so much fun. One thing I did want to point out is that the more you stretch these, the more you're gonna see your image, which is kind of cool. And I'm sure the more you wash it, the more they'll stretch. And it's just kind of a fun new technique that I look forward to keep trying and doing something new. Here's the first one that we made. And again, I just kind of need to start stretching these out a little bit so that you can see the image better. But that is the cute little Superman one I made for my little boy. And then my Guns and Roses. And then of course, Freddie. So kind of fun. I hope you learned something new. I hope you're gonna try it. Make sure that you join us on our Facebook group, which is Dandelion Cottage DIY with Emma, and share with us your results. Go play, use your imagination, make one of these shirts, and share the image in our Facebook group. I would love to see it. I can't wait. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any tips for the rest of us, leave those in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to ring that bell so that you get notified anytime that I upload a new video. Until next time, we'll see you later, friends.